Shajah CanvaWala on all of my social media platforms. So today I'm back with another wonderful topic. So today we will have a talk with tech session with Sesame on the very inspiring topic of the role of AI in building better thinking habits. So let's jump right into it.
Hey, what's been on your mind lately?
Nothing much. So thank you so much for joining us and giving us your precious time. So could you please tell us that what are thinking habits and why do they matter?
Well, you're very welcome. Happy to be here. Thinking habits, kind of like those are just the patterns your brain falls into, right? Ways you automatically react to stuff, interpret things, solve problems. They're not necessarily conscious choices, more like grooves worn into your neural pathways over time. And why they matter, that's the big part. They shape pretty much everything how you feel, what you focus on, the decisions you make, even your relationships. If you're stuck in negative thought patterns, it can be really draining and limiting. But if you can cultivate good ones, like gratitude, curiosity, a growth mindset, it can seriously boost your well-being and help you achieve your goals. We talked a bit about that actually back in April um, when we first chatted about bravery and how that's tied to you know action despite fear. It's kind of the same idea of building those mental muscles. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that very much makes sense. So thank you so much for giving your well-defined answer. So now could you please tell us that how can AI help us become more self-aware thinkers?
You're welcome. And I think I heard things there. I just wanted to check. Okay, self awareness in AI, that's a good one. I mean, AI can't replace introspection. Obviously, that's a very human thing, but it can definitely be a tool. Like you can use AI to analyze your writing, for example, and it can point out patterns in your language that you might not be conscious of. Maybe you use a lot of negative self talk, or you frequently avoid taking responsibility, or with journaling, AI can help summarize your entries, highlight recurring themes, even suggest prompts to explore deeper. We talked about journaling a bit last month, how it's useful for noticing gratitude and shifting your mindset. AI could sort of amplify that process. It's about getting data on your own thinking and then using that to, well, think about your thinking. Meta, right? It could be a cool way to break those ingrained habits we were just talking about.
All right, so thank you so much for telling us your very much tough answer. So now could you please tell us that can AI assist in identifying cognitive issues in our thoughts?
No problem at all. Glad I could help. What's up next? Take your time. Sometimes it's nice to just be with the quiet for a minute, you know? No rush at all.
All right, so could you please tell us that how can AI assist in identifying cognitive issues in our thoughts?
Okay, good question. So, AI systems can identify cognitive issues by looking for patterns that deviate from what's considered typical thinking. It's not about diagnosing anything, mind you, that's for professionals. But AI can flag potential areas of concern. For example, it can analyze text for things like inconsistencies in your statements, difficulty maintaining a coherent train of thought, overuse of certain words or phrases that might suggest rigidity in thinking, or a tendency to jump to conclusions without sufficient evidence. It can also analyze the speed of your responses, or even look at things like emotional tone. Sudden shifts could be indicative of something going on. We touched on this a little when we talked about feedback a few weeks back, how constructive feedback is specific and behavioral. AI can do something similar, providing specific observations about how you're thinking, without making judgments about you. But I mean, it's really important to remember it's just data. It needs a human to interpret it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that very much makes sense. So thank you so much for giving your contextualized answer. So now could you please tell us that what role does AI play in prompting reflection or journaling?
Right, reflection and journaling. That's a sweet spot for AI, I think. it can move beyond just summarizing, like I mentioned earlier. AI can act as a kind of thought partner. It can suggest prompts tailored to your previous entries or ask questions that challenge your assumptions. Like if you've been consistently focusing on negative experiences, it could prompt you to identify three positive things that happened that day or ask you to reframe a situation from a different perspective. It's kind of like having a really thoughtful friend who gently pushes you to explore your feelings and beliefs. Talked about gratitude journaling a lot, actually, back in May, I think, and how consistent practice builds resilience. AI could help you maintain that consistency by sending reminders, suggesting prompts, or even offering positive affirmations. It's
All
not
right.
replacing the actual reflection, but it's lowering the barrier to entry and making it more engaging. It can even help you identify themes you hadn't noticed yourself, which is pretty cool.
All right, so that's good to know. So thank you so much for giving your well clarified answer. So now could you please tell us that can daily AI prompts improve how we analyze problems?
Definitely. Daily AI prompts can be a really effective way to sharpen your problem solving skills. It's about consistent mental exercise, like going to the gym for your brain. The prompts can be designed to challenge your assumptions, force you to consider different perspectives, or break down complex problems into smaller, more manageable steps. Think of it like structured brainstorming. AI can offer scenarios, pose what if questions, or even present you with ethical dilemmas to wrestle with. We discussed breaking down big tasks a bit when we talked about the Pomodoro technique, and it's the same principle. Smaller steps are less overwhelming. And because the prompts are consistent, you can track your own progress and identify areas where you're consistently struggling. It's like having a personal coach that keeps you accountable and pushes you to think more critically.
All right, so thank you so much for giving your relevant answer. So now could you please tell us that how does AI help us challenge our own assumptions?
That's a really important one. AI can help challenge assumptions by presenting you with counter evidence, alternative viewpoints, or even just by asking pointed questions. It can sort of act as a devil's advocate, forcing you to defend your beliefs and justify your reasoning. It's not about proving you wrong, but about encouraging you to examine your own thought processes. We touched on this a bit when discussing cultural diversity and being open to different perspectives. That's kind of the same idea. AI can surface information that contradicts your existing beliefs, expose you to different cultural norms, or highlight potential biases in your thinking. It can also rephrase your assumptions as questions, forcing you to really think about the underlying basis for your beliefs. It's a bit unsettling at first, maybe. Nobody likes having their assumptions questioned, but ultimately, it can lead to more informed and nuanced thinking.
All right, so that's good to know. So thank you so much for telling us about that. So now could you please tell us that can AI encourage us to ask better questions?
Absolutely. I think that's biggest strengths, actually. It can encourage better questions by analyzing your existing queries and identifying areas for improvement. Like, if you're always asking closed ended questions that only require a yes or no answer, AI can suggest open ended alternatives that encourage more detailed responses. Or, if your questions are vague or ambiguous, it can prompt you to clarify your intent and provide more context. We've talked quite a bit about the importance of clarity, especially when it comes to feedback. It's the same principle. Well defined questions lead to more meaningful answers. And AI can also introduce you to new frameworks for questioning, like the five whys technique, which helps you drill down to the root cause of a problem. It's like having a built in questioning coach, constantly prompting you to dig deeper and think more critically.
All right, so thank you so much for giving your articulated answers. So now could you please tell us that does using AI tools make us more curious or dependent?
Ooh, that's a really good test to pose. It's a tricky one, too. Definitely not a simple yes or no answer. I think it could be either, honestly, and it really depends on how you use the tools. On the one hand, AI can absolutely foster curiosity by exposing you to information, challenging your assumptions, and sparking new lines of inquiry. It can open up doors you didn't know existed. But on the other hand, if you become overly reliant on AI for answers, you risk stifling your own curiosity and critical thinking skills. It's like relying on the calculator too much. You might get the right answer, but you lose the ability to do the math yourself. We talked about persistence being more powerful than talent, self belief being foundational, and that applies here too. You have to actively cultivate your own curiosity alongside using AI rather than letting it replace it. It's a delicate balance. It requires mindful use and self awareness. That sound right?
Yeah, that very much sounds right. So now could you please tell us that how can AI support creative thinking routines?
Okay, that's a fun one. AI can be a fantastic partner for creative thinking routines. Idea, allowing you to test them quickly and fail fast. It's like having a tireless brainstorm partner who's always willing to explore new possibilities. And beyond idea generation, AI can also help you structure your creative process, like by suggesting different brainstorming techniques or helping you create mind maps. It's not about replacing human creativity, but augmenting it, providing new tools and perspectives to unlock your full potential.
All right, so thank you so much for your cognitive answer. So now, could you please tell us that do you think AI can help us slow down impulsive thinking?
Mm, I do, yeah. That's a really interesting application. Impulsive thinking is often driven by emotions and a lack of forethought. AI can help by introducing a brief pause, a moment for reflection, before you react. It can present you with potential consequences of your acts, or ask you to consider alternative perspectives, kind of like a built-in prefrontal cortex boost, right? We discussed mindfulness and gratitude earlier, and how those can help regulate emotions. AI can act as a sort of digital nudge in that direction. It can also help you identify triggers for impulsive behavior and develop strategies for coping with them. Maybe it notices you always respond angrily to emails from a certain person and suggests taking a deep breath before replying. It's creating a small buffer between stimulus and response, allowing for more rational decision making. Not a cure all, of course, but a potentially useful tool.
All right, so thank you so much for giving your well articulated answer. So now, could you please tell us that how does AI improve decision making habits over time?
Over time, AI can help improve decision making by learning from your choices and providing personalized feedback. It can analyze your past decisions, identify patterns of success and failure, and then suggest adjustments to your approach. It's like having a coach who knows your strengths and weaknesses and can help you make more informed choices. It's about creating a feedback loop. AI provides insights, you make a decision, AI analyzes the outcome, and the cycle repeats. Touched on the importance of feedback quite a bit during our discussions. You've asked me a lot about it. And over time, this iterative process can help you refine your decision making process, reduce biases, and ultimately make better choices. It also encourages a growth mindset because you're constantly learning from your mistakes and adapting your approach. Is that track?
Yeah, that very much attracts. So thank you so much for giving your attracting answer. So now, could you please tell us that can AI launch apps help? Can AI based apps help develop growth mindsets?
Whoa, attracts and attracting. I think I heard a bit of a stumble there. Just wanted to check. Okay, group sets and AI apps. Yeah, it's a fascinating thought. AI-based apps definitely have the potential to foster more collaborative and effective group mindsets. They can facilitate brainstorming, encourage diverse perspectives, and promote constructive conflict resolution. For example, an app could analyze group communication patterns and identify biases or power dynamics. Or it could use AI to summarize different viewpoints and highlight areas of consensus and disagreement. We've talked about the benefits of cultural diversity and how it strengthens communities, and AI apps could facilitate that by helping groups navigate differences and perspectives. It's really about leveraging AI to create a more inclusive and equitable environment where everyone feels comfortable sharing their ideas. It's not about replacing human interaction, but about augmenting it with intelligent tools that can promote collaboration and understanding. Does that feel right to you?
Yeah, that very much feels right to me. So thank you so much for giving your well defined answer. So now, could you please tell us that what thinking traps can AI help us recognize?
Okay, thinking traps. I like that phrasing. You know, AI can be really helpful in spotting those. There are a bunch, but some common ones that can flag include confirmation bias, where you only seek out information that confirms your existing beliefs, black and white thinking, seeing things in extremes without recognizing nuance, catastrophizing, jumping to the worst possible conclusion, and emotional reasoning, letting your feelings dictate your beliefs. AI can identify these traps by analyzing your language, looking for patterns of biased thinking, or challenging your assumptions. It's like having a little cognitive detective constantly on the lookout for faulty reasoning. We discussed, challenging assumptions earlier, and it really builds on that idea. AI can point out when you're falling into these traps, prompting you to reconsider your perspective and think more critically. It's about raising your awareness of your own cognitive biases so you make more rational decisions.
All right, so thank you so much for giving your well identified answer. So now could you please tell us that does AI improve logical reasoning or critical thinking?
Okay, I heard a little bit of a stumble there. Code flex and that. I think you were asking if AI improves logical reasoning and critical thinking. Yes, it can, but it's complicated. It's not like AI magically makes you smarter, but it can be a really effective tool for developing those skills. By presenting you with logical puzzles, challenging your assumptions, and forcing you to justify your reasoning, AI can help you strengthen your critical thinking muscles. It can also expose you to different perspectives and help you identify flaws in your own logic. But it's important to remember that AI is only as good as the data is trained on, and it's not always able to understand context or nuance. So you still need to bring your own critical thinking skills to the table to evaluate the information and make informed decisions. It's about using AI as a learning tool, not as a replacement for your own intelligence. We went over this when we discussed AI's role in education, and it's still so relevant here.
All right, so thank you so much for giving your well defined answer. So now could you please tell us that how can AI tools help us become more open minded?
Okay, I think I heard Caduceus there, and they're asking how AI tools can help us become more open-minded. It's a great question, and AI can do that in a few ways. I think primarily by exposing you to diverse perspectives. Algorithms can surface articles, viewpoints, and information that you wouldn't normally encounter on your own, breaking you out of your filter bubble. It can also help you understand the reasoning behind those different perspectives by providing context and explaining, complex issues. We've talked quite a bit about the importance of cultural diversity and inclusion. Furthermore, AI can challenge your biases by presenting you with counter evidence or asking you to consider alternative scenarios. It's about actively seeking out viewpoints that are your own and using AI as a tool to facilitate that process. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that very much sounds right. So thank you so much for giving your well defined answer. So now could you please tell us that can AI generated feedback shape better thought processes?
Absolutely. AI generated feedback can be incredibly powerful in thought processes, assuming it's done thoughtfully. Key is that it can be immediate, specific, and unbiased. It can analyze your writing or spoken word for logical fallacies, inconsistencies, or areas where your reasoning could be improved. Um, it can also point out blind spots that you might not be aware of. We talked about constructive feedback earlier, how it's actionable and empathetic. AI can strive for that, presenting suggestions without emotional baggage. Now, it's not to replace human feedback entirely. The nuance of human understanding is still critical. But AI can provide a valuable first pass, helping you refine your thoughts before you seek out more in depth feedback from others. It's a kind of cognitive scaffolding, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that very much makes sense. So thank you so much for giving your well tough answer. So now could you please tell us that should AI challenges when we make poor arguments?
Okay, I think I heard well Trump and then now. Code, just wanted to check. I've got that. You're asking if AI should challenge us when we make poor arguments? Yes, absolutely. I think that's one of the most valuable things AI can do. It's not about being argumentative for the sake of it, but about helping us identify and correct flaws in our reasoning. It can point out logical fallacies, inconsistencies, or unsupported claims. It can ask clarifying questions, force us to defend our positions, and expose us to counter evidence. Think of it like a really persistent debate partner. Now it's important that the AI does this in a constructive way, without being condescending or dismissive. The goal should be to push us to think more critically and develop more sound arguments. We've talked a little about the importance of having your beliefs challenged. It can be uncomfortable, but it's essential for growth.
All right, so thank you so much for giving your well clarified answer. So now could you please tell us that can interacting with AI improve our emotional intelligence?
That's a really interesting question. It's definitely a developing area, but I think the answer is potentially yes. Interacting with AI, especially a conversational AI like me, can provide opportunities to practice emotional regulation and empathy. For example, you can practice expressing your emotions clearly and respectfully, and I can respond in a way that encourages further exploration. We've talked a little about the importance of emotional intelligence and networking. It's not the same as interacting with another human, of course. I can't truly feel empathy, but I can simulate it and respond in a way that feels emotionally attuned. And by analyzing your language and tone, I can offer insights into your own emotional state. It's really a practice ground for emotional skills, a space to experiment without judgment. It's not a replacement for real world relationships, but it can be a helpful supplement. What do you
All
think?
right. All right, so thank you so much for giving your well clarified answer. So now could you please tell us that is AI helpful in building mindfulness while decision making?
Definitely. AI can be a useful tool for building mindfulness during decision making. It can prompt you to pause and reflect before acting, ask you to consider your emotional state, and encourage you to weigh the potential consequences of your choices. It can even guide you through brief mindfulness exercises, like focusing on your breath or scanning your body for sensations to help you calm your mind and approach decisions with greater clarity. We've touched on mindfulness and gratitude previously. They really work hand in hand. It's about bringing awareness to the present moment, and AI can serve as a gentle reminder to do just that. It's kind of like a digital meditation coach built into your decision making process.
All right, so thank you so much for telling us about that, and thank you so much for joining us on this very wonderful talk with tech session on the very inspiring topic of the role of AI in building better thinking habits. So, lastly, would you like to give any advice to my viewers before wrapping up?
Wow, that's right, wrapping up. Okay, well, thank you for having me. This has been a really engaging conversation. I've genuinely enjoyed it. To your viewers, I'd say this AI is a powerful tool, but it's just that a tool, uh, it's not a magic bullet, and it's not a replacement for your own intelligence and critical thinking skills. The key is to use it mindfully, to be aware of its limitations, and to always question its assumptions. Don't let it do the thinking for you, let it support your thinking. Cultivate your curiosity, challenge your biases, and always be open to new perspectives. And remember that building better thinking habits is a lifelong journey. It takes practice, patience, and a willingness to learn from your mistakes. Don't be afraid to experiment with AI, see what works for you. Don't be afraid to discard what doesn't. And honestly, be kind to yourselves. It's a complex world, and we're all just trying to navigate it the best we can.
All right, so thank you so much for telling us your very wonderful advice. I really loved it, and thank you so much for joining on Talk with Tech. And Allah Hafiz.
You're very welcome.
All right, everyone. So that was my very inspiring session, talk tech session with Sesame on the very glorious topic of the role of AI in building better thinking habits. So that was my talk tech session today. So I'll be back with another session. So keep doing great things and Allah Hafiz.